Hey everybody, welcome to Old Roommates. Today on the show, we revisit music videos by Billy Idol. So, snarl those lips, take another drink, because it'll give us time to think, and have a seat. It's Old Roommates.
Oh, very good, Brian. Welcome, everyone, to Old Roommates, the only podcast that revisits pop culture through a middle-aged lens. This is Christina.
And this is Brian.
And how are you doing today, Brian?
Oh, I'm fine and dandy. I'm
so glad.
Drinking a giant Dunkin' Donuts festive pumpkin foam.
Very nice.
One of those pumpkin foam things.
Yep, very nice. I've been listening to some of our old episodes, and we don't really have a lot of chit-chat in the beginning anymore, and I kind of missed it, so I wanted to get a little bit of that back today.
Oh, that's nice.
So anyways, I'm fine. Thank you for asking.
Christina, I didn't have time to breathe.
No, it's fine. So, welcome everyone. We are revisiting, as Brian mentioned, Billy Idol videos. Not Billie Eilish.
No.
Billy Idol videos. We chose several to revisit. White Wedding.
Or a few.
Is one of them.
Several to me means like more than like 6 or more, 7
and
or
so
more.
it begins.
God, and by the way, you're only hearing 2 because the third one will be on Patreon. So, good. I don't want
Are you
people...
quite finished? Are you quite finished? Can anybody hear my tapping fingers?
Good.
Want to make sure they hear my tapping fingers. So, White Wedding and Dancing with Myself for this episode. And then our bonus episode, as Brian mentioned, on Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
Patreon.com/oldroommates.
Yeah.
We revisit Eyes Without a Face, which is the most popular video according to
Lord.
Yes, which shocked the hell out of me. Like when we were talking about what we would be revisiting, we were having this conversation. We were talking about White Wedding and Dancing with Myself. There was a few others we talked about, and in walks Brian's husband, Carl, and said, "Yeah, Eyes Without a Face." And we're like, what, huh? I honestly kind of forgot about the song, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, yeah, that's going to be the most popular by far. And we looked it up, and gosh darn it, he was right.
239 million views.
Unbelievable. I never would have guessed. I never in a million years would have guessed that was the most popular. Even like,
Rebel Yell.
Rebel Yell, oh my gosh.
Has 111 million.
Rock the Cradle of Love.
Cradle of Love, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I have to say, I know we're going to get into the episode in a second, but I was talking to Matt. I just watched these videos this morning.
Yeah.
Talk about a last minute. But it's easy. And this is a testament to all of you listeners too. If you haven't listened to these videos or watched these videos, you can do it easily enough.
Oh my God.
It doesn't take time. It's like 10 minutes tops. So anyway, I was talking to Matt about what we needed to watch or listen or whatever. And he said he had mentioned Cradle of Love. And he's like, because that's the one with the girls dancing around in the living room, right?
Yes.
And do you know the backstory behind that? Because I didn't.
Well, it's Ford Fairlane, right? It's wasn't that from the Andrew Dice Clay movie?
I don't know.
Cradle of Love? I feel like it was on the soundtrack.
I don't know.
But I'm curious where this is going to go because
okay.
I have something to say about Cradle of Love.
Oh,
yeah.
Excellent. So apparently, the video is basically this girl, and I haven't watched it in a while, so I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The girl is dancing around the living room, and the only time you see Billy Idol is on the TV.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
And the reason behind that, I found out from Matt last night, is because he had been in a very serious motorcycle accident. And at this point in time, he could like barely walk, and he was like really laid up. So he wasn't able to even appear in the video. And so they said, well, we'll kind of prop him up and have him just sing and have it on the video. That's why it was it was, because of the accident that he had been in.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Can I be honest and tell you that I actually remember
thinking
he was thinking he was pretty sexy in that video on the TV. I thought the video was really sexy. I remember it being like, oh my gosh. But like, remember thinking he gave off this like sex, like
it must have
sexy
been the
energy. Well, or just the fact that like he was on TV and like I don't know, it was the connection with from so I never thought he was like attractive.
Me either.
But there's something like very like I don't know different about him in that video that's so bizarre.
Isn't that so crazy?
Yeah.
So anyway, I was a little disappointed when I looked it up and said, "Oh wait, that's not one of the videos." But I wanted to at least throw that out there. So thank you, Matt, for enlightening us, assuming it's all true. And but let's get to the episode. So White Wedding is our first video that we'll be revisiting. And Brian, let's start as we always do. Like, what is let's just talk about Billy Idol in general. What is your past like with Billy Idol?
So when I was growing, so now I'm like 9, 10, 11 years old so White Wedding was November of 1982. I was 10 years old. And I remember though Billy Idol just being like almost scary in a way, like unknown. I honestly thought he was from America. I didn't really know he was from the UK. And just like rough and angry and punk and being none of those things. I remember just being like, "Ooh, he's a little pretty aggressive and kind of scary." And now when I rewatch these videos, not to jump too fast, but I'm like, you know what? I understand why I was a little weirded out or scared. He didn't look like anyone in pop music at that point, I don't think. And certainly I wasn't scared by anyone in pop music in 1982, but Billy Idol is just so different because he came from that punk world.
Yes.
But that was my take. It's just that, I mean, and in terms of his songs, I think I really liked, I know we're starting with White Wedding. I wasn't a fan of this song, but I really liked Dancing with Myself, and I really liked Eyes Without a Face.
It's interesting because it was, when you think about who he was, right? And the scary punk rock kind of look to him.
Yeah.
When you're listening to the music now, it's very poppy.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? And I don't think I put that together back then.
Yeah.
So my experience is I really liked Billy Idol. I don't think I ever owned a CD of his.
No.
But I think they played him enough. You didn't really need to. I probably had plenty of mixtapes with him on it. But I really liked him. I think because of that different scariness to him.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I was a little older than you, of course, in the 80s. But there was something about him that was somewhat mysterious. Like, you didn't really know much about him. And I found that part of him attractive. I never thought he looked attractive. It was that snarl kind of bothered me. It was like, ugh, like, that's gross. And like, even like the spiky hair, I did not find attractive. So I liked him. I liked his music a lot. I loved White Wedding, which is kind of funny. And I remembered some of his videos. Like, even, like, sometimes when we were visiting these things, you don't really remember the videos too much. You're like, oh, and then you start revisiting. It's like, oh, yes. I remembered White Wedding very clearly. I remembered Eyes Without a Face. Dancing with Myself, I didn't remember that much.
That's so funny. I'm the opposite. I remember Dancing with Myself so clearly.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, like truly everything.
Well, maybe
happened,
because we liked those songs those, whatever. So anyway, but I did like him. In fact, I have a little story about him. When I was in college, I had the opportunity to see Billy Idol in concert. So it was one of those spur-of-the-moment things. Yeah. I think someone was like, hey, do you want to see Billy Idol tonight? And I was like, sure. Yeah. And what was funny, I think it was maybe it was the day before.
Where was he playing? Do you remember?
I don't remember. It was, I don't know, somewhere local. So I think I got the tickets the day before, and this is why. I don't know if you remember this at all. But there was a big controversy about him at one of his shows where he actually pulled his pants down and mooned the whole audience.
Oh, okay.
During one of his songs.
Yeah.
And it was like a big thing. Like, oh my gosh, it like made all the papers and all this kind of stuff. It was like this big thing. That happened the night before I saw him. And I was like, oh, I hope he does it again.
And he didn't.
He did not.
No.
But we had really good seats. I remember like just being like, wow, this is like a really fun show, and never would have thought to buy.
How can you remember where it was? I'm so curious where it was.
Well, I went to Framingham State, so it wasn't that far from Framingham State. So I don't know. It was.
It's so interesting. What year?
It was probably in Boston or something. It was probably, I want to say like 87.
All right, so not too long after his
around.
like. He was. Well, Cradle of Love was I think 89 or 90.
Yeah, no, he was hot back then. Yeah, it was like he was definitely. It wasn't like a throwback.
Okay. Well, because you were able to get good tickets at the last minute. That's why I was curious.
Very surprised. I don't know how it even came to be. I think maybe somebody bailed at the last minute or something.
Yeah. But it was a good show.
It was wicked fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really, really fun.
So for perspective, White Wedding, it went for singles releases. It went Hot in the City, then White Wedding, then Rebel Yell. Again, this is November 1982, and we will dive in to now. Now, this White Wedding video has 48 million views on YouTube. Christina, let's hear it.
So, as I said, I watched it this morning. So it's nice and fresh in my mind. So, I guess my first thought was, look how young he is. Like, I do this all the time. Like, I'm like, wow, he looks so young. I think back then I always felt like he looked really old.
Yep.
And now I'm like, wow, he was pretty young. And it was actually kind of hot to me.
Christina, we have the same. We have the same notes. Please finish because I'm gonna.
As I said, I never found him attractive, and I was like, oh, he is kind of hot. So that made me laugh to think that way. I felt like this whole video there was a lot going on. I felt like he put a lot of effort in this video. Like I felt like he wanted to do a lot. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of it kind of worked. The girls in leather did not, for me. I didn't understand why they were there. I didn't feel like they were necessary. Mm-hmm. It almost felt to me that they were friends of his. And they're like, yeah, I want to be in the video. And they're like, yeah, I'll put you in the video. Let's put you in these things. But I liked it. I was definitely... It held my attention. The whole video held my attention. I did not find it boring. I felt it was very interesting. And... I remembered a lot about it. I didn't remember a lot about it, but I remembered a lot about it. It made me laugh to think how, again, pop 80s he looked. He didn't look very scary to me. Right? He was very, non-assuming.
Yeah.
Is it that people just didn't dress that way?
He also looked very healthy. He looked like he was, tan and thin and fit. Like, he didn't look rough and...
No!
And, the way I remembered in my mind was he was, this, rough, rugged smoker,
druggy,
broken beer bottle, and he's so not... And so my notes are very similar. First, right off the bat, I'm like, oh my God, he is so young. Yeah. His skin is... effing flawless.
Beautiful skin.
And he's so pretty.
Yeah.
And I think that is why he snarled so much. Because to make him look ugly.
Yeah.
Because if you took the gel out of his hair, he'd be a pretty boy.
Yeah.
Totally.
He reminded me so much of David Bowie.
Yes,
who I think is very pretty.
Yep, I think he reminded me more of Bowie in Dancing with Myself, actually. Yeah. But he was very Bowie, and he... If he stopped snarling and took the gel out of his hair, he could be a model.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
He's very pretty. And
very androgynous.
Great cheekbones.
Which I never thought of.
No.
He was like a big, tough man.
Yeah.
Really...
And he tries, and I think my only say negative on this is, he tries so hard to, he has this... At one point, he breathes smoke out of his, out of his mouth.
Yes.
He's trying a little too hard.
To be tough.
One thing I will say is... Well, I actually have a few notes on this. Mm-hmm. I really like this one. I think it's very 80s, that whole segue with destroying the kitchen and the toaster exploding. It felt very Beastie Boys to me.
It was very, and I felt almost like there was a deeper meaning to that too, where it's they're trying to be, they're saying that the wedding is, being married is that safe choice, but everything's exploding around her. I felt that's a middle-aged lens for sure.
Well... There's another thought I had.
Oh, let's hear it.
This is darker.
Oh.
There are clips of this woman laying in front of a doctor.
Oh, boy.
And so White Wedding, and when I did some reading, and it was basically based on this idea, his sister, so Billy Idol's sister was getting married, and she, I guess was... I don't want to get this wrong. I'm so sorry if I'm getting this wrong, you guys. But basically, it's if she was pregnant, and he's and his thought was, wow, if this was 30, 40 years ago, it'd be a very different kind of story.
Yes.
And the phrase It's a Nice Day to Start Again is playing when, like, the doctor's with this woman, and is this woman pregnant? Is she having an abortion? And are they starting again? And to your point, she goes crazy in the kitchen with this idea of being a housewife, but did she get, what was this? Am I wrong? I mean, I tried digging into this video on Wikipedia, on different music video sites, and I didn't find anything that supports this feeling. But what role does that doctor play in this song White Wedding, in this video? Because she's clearly getting a procedure done, and they're getting married. So it's like, or did she just find out she was pregnant?
Maybe she's just
found out she's pregnant. So that's fine, but it's with the idea of starting again.
Well, because if she had an abortion, she wouldn't have to get married.
True. But he says it's a nice day to start again. And I'm like, what does that mean, starting again? So then she's in the kitchen and she's losing her mind. Mm-hmm. And it's just maybe the confines of a marriage just isn't for her.
Sure.
Now,
I'd love that.
The bride is Perry Lister. That's her name. And she was his girlfriend at the time. She was Billy Idol's girlfriend at the time. And she, get this, she insisted that barbed wire ring, that really happened.
That really happened?
She insisted on it.
And that's one, I cringed again when I saw it. I cringed every time I've ever seen that. It's like it jumped.
Maybe because it's real. It's real.
It's
in
really
MTV.
Good. Very effective.
So MTV was pretty new then, and they sent the video and they said, great, cut that bloody finger. And they said, okay. And they cut it out. And then I think the song was re-released in maybe 85. And they updated the video and they put it back in, and MTV said, sure. Wow. So now, but on YouTube, you can see the bloody finger. And that really happened. And I
remember seeing it as a, child.
Yeah.
I remember seeing the bloody finger.
Yeah. I did say, oh, nice. They invited the extras from Xanadu. Right? There was like no rhyme or reason to these.
Well, that's what I mean with these women in leather. Like, they're not even leather, it's like plastic.
Well, she's one of them, by the way. So she did double duty. She was one of the 3 women. One thing I noticed, I am jumping a tiny bit, but he has this thing where his head is draped, or he's wearing something around his shoulders and his neck.
Yes, he does that several times.
In different videos. Mm-hmm. And it's funny, like, he almost obscures his face, and it goes back to, I think, even he acknowledges that he's maybe a little too pretty to be so edgy, but he was in a punk rock band called Generation X in England, in the UK, and he was like, goodbye everybody, I'm going to America, I'm going to New York City to be a solo artist. And so I think it was Dancing with Myself was a song by Gen X that he brought over to America.
Oh, funny.
So all that to say, I think he struggled with his image, and that's why the snarling, the smoking, the draped face, the sleeveless everything, the tattoo on his arm. He was really trying hard, I think, to not lose his punk edge, to go full pop. But like you're saying, I think if you removed the vocals from White Wedding, I would think this could have been a Duran Duran song.
Easily.
Right?
The
music is so similar to Duran Duran's style. But yeah, anyway.
Super 80s pop, I agree.
Yeah.
Do you have any other comments about White Wedding?
Let me quickly go through.
I don't have any more notes on it. I just said that, he's crazy.
3 minutes and 9 seconds in, that scream. Do you remember the scream?
What was the scream?
It's very high-pitched and very, it's very like,
Is it that one?
Lady on Fire. No, because it doesn't, it is that one. But it starts off very like, it's very like high pitch, and it doesn't sound as rocker as I remembered it sounding. 3 minutes and 9 seconds. Give it a listen.
Everything about this video everything about him does not jive with the memory of him.
No, it's so funny, but it's good.
It's
good to be really clear. I enjoyed this experiment.
I agree. I completely enjoyed it as well.
This exercise.
But it was just funny. Really? I found him scary and intimidating. Not really.
So should we dive into Dancing with Myself?
Let's do it.
All right, March 1981. Dancing with Myself has...
So this was before White Wedding. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. By a year and a half, actually. So 70 million views
Mm-hmm.
Christina, let's hear it. What are your thoughts?
My first note was it seemed extra fast for some reason. I felt like it was sped up. And I think it, not necessarily listening to it,
Okay.
but watching it and listening at the same time, it felt like it was like super, super fast. So I don't know if that's definitely like a middle-aged lens, but it was so funny. I'm like, I don't remember this being so fast. So that was my first note.
Mm-hmm.
I liked that it was a different tone. So my feelings at the beginning of the video changed at the end of the video because I felt like, and I think it was because I just watched White Wedding and it was so interesting and it had like a lot going on. And then here we are with all like the zombies and it was a little bit more one note, which I thought was interesting and I thought it was fun, but I did find it got a little bit boring. Even in like the 3 minutes it was, I felt a little bit bored with it.
Yeah.
The part that I really liked is when he started getting into it.
Mm-hmm.
And he started dancing.
Yeah.
And then I thought it was funny, the zombies started to dance. But I liked that part of it. But that was towards the end.
Yeah.
Right? So I liked it. I think I liked it more because I saw White Wedding first. If I had seen it first, I think I would have been bored maybe from the beginning.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Is my thought.
Yeah.
But then I liked it. I thought it was really sexy when he started to dance. And I wish there was a little bit more dancing. I always do in these videos. I always want a little bit more dancing. And then the zombie dancing was really, really funny.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Do you think it's clear they're zombies in this day and age, through your middle-aged line? Did you instantly think they were zombies?
I instantly thought they were zombies.
Okay, I remember this video very well growing up. And back then, I was like, oh, they're totally scary zombies. Now, maybe because we've seen so many zombies. Yep. In popular culture, that I honestly was like, oh, they're just like I don't know, crazy artsy homeless people. I didn't get a zombie vibe from them. And in fact, I would say that I think they reminded me, like you had Xanadu in White Wedding, and this one they looked like the people from Fantasia, Never Ending Story. But I didn't get zombies right away, and so when he's killing them, because he like obliterated nine, at least 9 of them. I counted 9, and then it cut to the ground, and they were like all of them were dead again. But it was funny. It's like it just keeps going, and then so I said I did feel a little bad. It took them so long to get up that building, and he just
and then boom, 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 you're all done. That was, I do find it kind of bad.
Oh my
they
God.
reminded me more of like the Michael Jackson zombies and Thriller.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
But that was after, right?
That was after, yeah.
I mean, Michael Jackson's were definitely better dressed, but yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't really have a whole lot of notes on this one.
So I do.
Go ahead,
this was directed by Tobe Hooper, who did Poltergeist in 1982, so a year after this, and he did Texas Chainsaw Massacre in 1974. So, in this plot is drawn from a scene in the 1971 film, I didn't see this movie, The Omega Man. This was originally recorded by Gen X, Billy Idol's band back in the UK, and he just sort of took it with him to America. So, I do think one thing, and I'm glad, like you're saying, I'm glad I watched the second for a different reason. I think in this one, Billy Idol looks, because there's some wider shots of him, I think he looks, I mean, this isn't a bad thing, but it's just an observation. Like, he looks short to me.
Interesting.
Like, he's 5'9", but I think certain camera angles, like, there's some shots he looks very powerful, and there's other shots, like, wider shots, he looks, like, kind of skinny and short.
Interesting.
So something was a little lost, I think, through that's all middle-aged lens stuff. If I'm a kid, I think he's like looks, powerful or scary.
Well, and now we have such different technology that a short person you can
would
make
never look
taller.
right, exactly.
They would never have filmed it that way.
Yeah, but did you? Yeah. But you don't. It doesn't sound like you even thought that.
No, I didn't. I didn't notice it.
Just
but maybe that's why they put him on the building too. Like he's on top of a building to make him feel bigger.
And then they use the same clip of him, like sort of wiping his tattoo or rubbing his tattoo.
There's a couple of same clips I noticed. There's a couple of things that they repeated. So I'm like, why did they do that? Because I don't think it's an obvious repeat. I think it was almost felt like filler. It
is filler, and it's like a longer. And the second one is a longer clip of him rubbing his tattoo, and it goes all the way up to his face, and he snarls or smirks. And it's like, I don't know what that has to do with the song at all.
Yeah. There's really not much to do with the song?
No, I mean Dancing with Myself, and there's like, I don't know.
The only thing that had anything to do with that song was the random shadow dancer that was plopped in there from time to time. The one, you know, the woman dancing behind.
Oh,
the screen.
right, yeah.
Yeah. That was like the only thing that had anything to do with Dancing with Myself.
I know the inspiration for this song was, I believe so his real name is William Broad, and I believe he and one of his, oh God, you guys, like, I don't, if there's any Billy Idol fans, I apologize, but it's him and someone else. They were in Japan, and they were fascinated because in Japan they were at this nightclub, and a lot of people were staring in the mirror and dancing with themselves, and they was inspired. They were inspired by that,
and that is, you know, and that's really interesting because you've said this story before. When you met your husband,
yeah,
you thought you were dancing with yourself, but you were actually dancing with Carl. Like,
stop! I thought I was going to the mirror to look at myself, and
yes.
my reflection was dancing.
Yes,
because it was not a reflection; it was him. Yeah.
So that's interesting. Wow, it's all coming together for me.
You are not even going to mention the scary ass skeleton and that weird mannequin.
Why do I not remember that?
Oh my God, it was so weird.
That is weird.
It was like on for
why.
It was like for 3 seconds. It was just like they were like having a conversation. It was super creepy.
Oh, that's so weird. I don't remember that part.
And then at one point I just wrote, I guess what he's trying to say is that he just wants to dance with himself.
I don't want to dance with
No, because it's just so, it's very repetitive.
Yes.
The lyrics.
Yeah, they are. It is very repetitive.
What else can I say? Oh, I will say just, I thought the skeleton, I can't believe you don't remember it.
I know.
There's a scary skeleton at one point, and he looks so much like, and we talked about this before, the scary man in Poltergeist 2. Oh my God. And it's interesting because Tobe Hopper directed Poltergeist 1.
Interesting.
But believe it or not, that's really all I have. I did appreciate the opening because this very similar opening to White Wedding. It's like the exterior shot of the venue that the
yes.
Yeah, so that was kind of, I like that. I thought that was kind of a cool.
Yeah, and I will say in both of these videos, I do feel like the effort was there.
Yeah.
You know, he certainly was not lazy in his production.
Right.
He put a lot of effort in both of these videos to try to make them as entertaining as possible. I felt like this one didn't really pay off as much as White Wedding, but
well,
so I mean, do we want to vote? Do we even need to vote? I think we know our answer.
I definitely know my answer.
Yeah. Do we?
1, 2.
two.
Oh,
sorry.
3. White Wedding. Oh, did you listen to part 2? Because this is White Wedding part 1, White Wedding part 2.
Oh no, I didn't.
It's almost exactly the same. There's what word? There's like a word he keeps yelling out in part 2. Damn it, I can't remember. I just listened to it last night.
Funny.
But it's not so different.
Yeah.
Well, that was Billy Idol. So, guys, on Patreon, if you want to toss us a couple bucks, you're going to hear our revisit of Eyes Without a Face, which is almost a 6-minute video.
It's great.
And it's
it's great. You'll see hear our revisit of it.
Yeah.
So you'll, whatever. But it's easy enough. You just
watch
the video and then go to patreon.com/oldroommates.
And 239 million views.
Yeah, and we have a million things for you to watch as well. Like, there's so many things up there. We have movie reviews. We have dramatic reenactments. My favorite, I don't know, we have 2 dramatic reenactments. One's from Showgirls and one's from Breakfast Club. And I don't know which one I like best, but they're so good. So check us out. Even if you don't want to join, just check out, just scroll down at all the stuff that we have. Some things you don't even have to join to see.
Listen, you can do it. People do with streaming services these days. They wait for a bunch of episodes of something they like. They sign up for a month or a couple weeks, whatever, and then they watch everything and then drop it.
Yeah.
So,
it's easy,
but we
easy,
appreciate
easy.
your patronage.
For sure.
And that was Billy Idol Videos.
And that's it for us in this episode of Old Roommates. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe to Old Roommates on iTunes, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And please give us a rating or review while you're there.
And if you're interested in more Old Roommates, including special episodes, bonus content, movie recommendations, and more, visit our Patreon page at patreon.com. That's reon.com/oldroommates. Comments and ideas can be emailed to us at oldroommatespod@gmail.com. And don't forget to follow us on social media at Old Roommates.
Thanks again for listening. This is Christina.
And this is Brian. Until next time.